In the 4 years since he left the White House, Donald Trump has remained a force in domestic and international politics. His unique status as a former and possibly future president and his influence over the Republican Party have made him a powerful actor behind the scenes. So much so that it's now become customary for some foreign leaders to have 3 meetings when they visit the US, one with Biden, one with Harris, and a third with Donald Trump. Veteran US journalist Bob Woodward has described this as a shadow presidency. His latest book, War, comes out today, and one of the striking revelations comes from a former Trump aide who allegedly told Woodward that Donald Trump has spoken to Russia's Vladimir Putin as many as 7 times since leaving the White House. The Trump campaign denies the allegations and has described Mr. Woodward as, quote, a total sleazebag. Let's look at this with Jeremy Shapiro, who's Research Director of the European Council on Foreign Relations. Welcome to DW. Is this so-called shadow presidency anything more than visiting foreign politicians and officials trying to hedge their bets against a Trump win next month?
It's mostly that. I think it's quite normal for foreign leaders and foreign opposition officials to be thinking about what the next president will be, and thinking about trying to forge a relationship with him and his team. But Donald Trump is slightly different than most prospective presidents in that he's already been a president. He has much greater contacts as a result than other prospective presidents, and he also has been much more willing to exercise political influence within the Republican Party, and much more able to during the Biden presidency. So he's often been quite influential with the Congress and with other sources of power. And so that means that forging a relationship with Trump is not just about the future, it's actually also about the present.
Do you see anything unethical or unconstitutional in a presidential candidate behaving in this way?
Well, potentially it is unethical or even illegal. It depends on what he's doing. Certainly, it's fine for Trump to discuss his policies, his prospective policies with foreign leaders and discuss his relationships with them. If he, however, is offering to have specific policies that might favor a foreign government in return for assistance that would help him in the U.S. election, that could be certainly ethically and perhaps even legally problematic.
Right. But a presidential candidate who says to other leaders, these are my policies, this is what you can expect in, say, Ukraine or the Middle East, get on board or get out the way. You don't have a problem with that?
No, I don't think so. But let's just sort of think about some of the hypotheticals. There was a rumor during the 1980 campaign, and then I'll emphasize it's only a rumor. We don't have any proof of it, that the Reagan campaign was involved in negotiations with the Iranians to hold the U.S. hostages that were being held in Iran until after the U.S. election, and they were, in the event, released on Inauguration Day of 1981. So if that was really true, and again, we don't know that it was true, that would certainly be illegal and certainly unethical, and we can understand why. So if Trump is doing something similar to that, and again, I don't have any information that he is, it would be a problem. But certainly he is well within the norms to have discussions with foreign leaders about what his policies might be.
And he has seen some big ones, hasn't he? He's been visited by the main players in the 2 big crises consuming the West at the moment, the Middle East and Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky, Benjamin Netanyahu have both been to Mar-a-Lago. And journalist Bob Woodward has reported that Trump and Vladimir Putin have spoken 7 times since Mr. Trump left the White House. So surely the problem lies less with Donald Trump and more with the domestic and foreign leaders who seek him out in this way.
Well, I think it lies, as I said, it's normal for foreign leaders to seek out prospective candidates. What's strange about Donald Trump is, and this is what the shadow presidency idea gets at, is that he's been able to exercise a lot of influence through his virtual control of the Republican Party in the even while Biden was president. And he's also the type who one could at least suspect would be willing to trade favors even while he was not president. And so that naturally raises some concerns. The sort of stories from the Woodward book about him sending, while he was president, sending personal COVID equipment to Vladimir Putin when such things were very scarce is the kind of thing that makes people wonder whether he has a sort of strange relationship with Vladimir Putin, which has extended through his post-presidency and which might now, if he is reelected, reinsert itself into the White House with very important effects on, for example, U.S. policy toward Ukraine.
Is there any evidence, as far as you can tell, that this lobbying of Mr. Trump has had any effect?
I can't say I can see much evidence that lobbying or really talking to Donald Trump about anything has much effect. But one can be worried not so much about the lobbying, but about the deals that are being struck. I mean, just to give you some small example, the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is currently negotiating a big hotel deal in Belgrade, and he's doing that largely with the Serbian government. Will the Serbian government therefore have better access and leverage with Donald Trump now or with the Donald Trump administration? One really felt during the first Trump administration that a lot of Donald Trump's policies were not so much the result of lobbying, but the result of, let's say, his concept of the presidency as an extension of his business empire. And one can be very worried that the expanded business contacts that he and his circle have made in various foreign countries around the world since he left the presidency would again re-enter the White House if he were elected. And I think that's something that, we don't have evidence enough to convict anybody of at this point, but it's something that people should be concerned about if he were to be re-elected.
Okay, you've given us much to think about, and we thank you for that. To Jeremy Shapiro from the European Council on Foreign Relations, thank you so much.
Thank you.